This is a good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life. Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. I wasn't really planning on vlogging today or this week really, but then last night I just like felt like doing more work on the Between the Waves draft. And when I get the feeling to work on the draft, I do not deny that feeling. I jump on it as quickly as I can and I make use of it. So then I figured I would vlog today to also kind of introduce a new goal that I'm trying to meet, that I have 21, wait, less than that because February is a short month. Okay, so I have less than 20 days to complete the goal. So I thought that I would do a little vlog to introduce the goal, what my plan is, and then also explain what I've done the past day or so on the manuscript. Oh, before we get into that though, I bought books, and I know that sounds bad, okay, but hear me out. I didn't buy books from the bookstore because that would be very expensive, but what's not very expensive is buying books from the thrift store. We have a thrift store that's very close to my place that sells books for $2 a piece. That's a massive discount compared to the bookstores. So I did stop in last night and I picked up a couple, and I'll show you them now. And they're kind of out of my regular genres or my regular styles of reading, so I am excited to kind of share them because I am trying to branch out. If you watched my bookshelf tour, you would know that I have been trying to basically collect the Outlander series by thrifting them because I didn't want to buy the whole thing brand new. I'm pretty sure I have the second and third already, and I finally found the first one. I was kind of thinking about it as well because we watched an interview with Diana Gabaldon, I don't know how to pronounce her name, the author of Outlander, in our writing class, and she discussed how she only writes one draft, and to be fair, it takes a very long time to write that one draft, and she kind of like edits as she goes, which is how she can do that, of course. Then I also got this one, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. So it's technically a mystery novel, and we were talking about it in class because we were talking about the style that he wrote it in, which is very interesting. And I had to get it because, first of all, I saw it and it was fresh in my mind, which by default, if there's a book for $2 that I was thinking about recently, I'll probably buy it because I have no self-control and $2 is a good price. We did discuss it in class and we read a little bit of it in class, and I think I've read it before and I couldn't figure out why, but like I read the part for class and I was thinking it's just sounded so familiar, and I feel like I've read it, but I don't know why I would have read it. Like it's really not I wouldn't reach for this normally, but I saw it, it's in great condition, so I grabbed it. Okay, so then let's do this one next. So this is the Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, and I actually got this one because one of my giveaway winners, you'll know who you are, posted about it on their Instagram when I was trying to figure out what book I was sending them. I was like looking through what books they were interested in, and they spoke very highly of this one and talked about it being one of their favorite books. It is not fantasy, and therefore I am branching out. So I thought that I would pick that up because, again, it was there. Why not? It's $2. Come on. I will justify every single one with that. Okay, so this next one is called In the Shadow of the Banyan Tree. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing Banyan right, but I'll read the back to you because that's what kind of sucked me in. For 7-year-old Rami, the shattering end of childhood begins with the footsteps of her father returning home in the early dawn hours, bringing details of the civil war that has overwhelmed the streets of Phnom Penh. My pronunciation's gonna be bad. I apologize. Cambodia's capital. Soon the family's world of carefully guarded royal privilege is swept up in the chaos of revolution and forced exodus. Over the next 4 years, Rami clings to the only remaining vestige of her childhood, the mythical legends and poems told to her by her father, and fights for her improbable survival. And I was just really intrigued by it, so I'm gonna read it. Again, it's out of my comfort zone, it's out of my style, but I'm trying harder to branch out a little bit more and experience a wider variety of books and literature. These two, did I buy them for the covers? Maybe. The covers are beautiful. It definitely played a role in the purchase of these books. The first one is called The Essex Serpent, and this is actually a mystery, I believe. and it sounded cool. That's all I really have to say about it, I guess. But I read the back, sounded interesting, and the cover is beautiful, so I bought it. And it was only $2. So I did read the back too, and it sounds interesting, so if it's beautiful and it sounds interesting, then I am sold. And the final one is nonfiction. So this one is actually a history book. So it's called The Silk Roads, A New History of the World, and it just sounded really incredible. So it's basically a history of the Silk Roads. The quote on the front from the Wall Street Journal is, "A rare book that makes you question your assumptions about the world," which I'm always down to do that. I think it's healthy. And the final sentence on the back is, "From the rise and fall of empires to the spread of Buddhism and the advent of Christianity and Islam, right up to the great wars of the 20th century, this book shows how the fate of the West has always been inextricably linked to the East." And technically, books like this, it's research, you know? The more you learn, pictures. Yes. I think the more you learn about world history and religion and spirituality and geography and just literally everything about the world that you possibly can, I think it really helps with your writing. So I bought all of those books, and does it look like a lot? Yes, but technically I paid $12, okay? So let me have this. So now let's talk about what my goal is for March 1st, 2022. It was March 1st, 2021. I had just completed the Dark Artifices? Oh my god, I don't know how to pronounce it. This is a great story so far. I had just finished the Dark Artifices series by Cassandra Clare. So that is her Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows, and Queen of Air and Darkness, that trilogy. It came out earlier than that, but I hadn't gotten around to reading it because it came out when I was in university and I wasn't reading as much. So I had just finished reading that series. I was obsessed as usual. I have like a strong obsession with Cassandra Clare. I had just finished reading that kind of as a way to actually get back into reading. That was the beginning of the year after I finished university. I had moved to Vancouver, things were changing, and I was like, I have time to read again, and I have time to like get excited about books again, so I'm going to. Earlier that year, so in probably January or February, I had also found Book Talk. So I had like kind of browsed TikTok a little bit, but it wasn't really my thing until I found Book Talk. And that I was super into because all of a sudden I found this community of people who all were as obsessed with fantasy novels as I was. And I loved that because that isn't something that I have really had in my life before that point. So I had found this incredible community, even if I wasn't really part of it yet. I had started reading again and started reading a lot again, which was also very exciting for me. And I had started writing a little bit more again, kind of just coming up with ideas, probably because I was on Book Talk so involved in a fiction community, and then also reading again, which always gets my ideas going. So basically all of these things kind of just fed into the idea that I was going to write a book. And I was actually going to finish it. I think that I just realized I had the time again, I had the creative capacity again, and I was reading again, and these were things that I hadn't done for a few years, which is a lot for me. As someone who was reading and writing for their entire life up to university basically, having 3 years of not really doing much of that was a long time. So on March 1st, 2021, I decided that I was going to write a book and I was going to finish it, and if I didn't find it as terrible as I thought it might be, then I would maybe try to publish it. And that is when Blood of Amberum was born. On March 1st, I started writing down the ideas, I started brainstorming, I started outlining to the best of my ability, and I basically just went full steam ahead for this novel. So it had, again, remember, it had been a long time since I had been writing regularly, but over the course of March, I ended up writing about 20,000 words of this novel, plus another 10,000 words of a weird outline slash collection of ideas because I didn't really know what I was doing. So sometime in March while I was writing this, because I was so heavily involved again, I learned about Nanowrimo. and I learned that it didn't happen until November, but that there were nano camps. So like Camp Nanowrimo happened in April and in July, which was very exciting to me because I was like, okay, well, I've already written, you know, 20,000 words or so of a book that I really want to finish. And what a fun challenge to try and write more words in April, since I was writing in March and April was coming up, and I was like, well, I'm already writing anyways, I may as well do the challenge. This was also, keep in mind, I wasn't working as much and I also wasn't doing as much YouTube stuff, so I had a bit more free time, which is the only reason I think I was able to do this when I was getting back into writing. So in April of 2021, I started Camp Nanowrimo and I set my goal for 50,000 words. You don't have to set your goal that high for camp, but I think we've already established that I have a bad habit of biting off more than I could chew, except I did chew it. Thank you very much. I ended up writing a total of 50,067 words in April, which brought me to around 70,000 words in my manuscript. So in those 2 months, I somehow pulled a 70,000 word manuscript from thin air. The next few months were kind of stagnant, and fast forward, I ended up finishing the manuscript in September at around 110,000 words, and then I started Between the Waves in November, and we are coming up to the 1-year mark since the time that I started that first manuscript and decided that this was something I was going to not only get back into, but allow myself to pursue if I thought I could. Obviously at this point I am pursuing it, so that definitely changed and I confirmed that. But now we are less than 20 days out from the 1-year mark of me making that decision. And in true Kayla fashion, I have decided that I want to finish the Between the Waves manuscript by March 1st because I want to have written 200,000 words in a year, or 2 fantasy first drafts, if that makes sense. So that is a very long-winded way for me to say that I have a goal. My goal is to have written 200,000 words of first draft material as of March 1st, 2022. So on the year marker of me starting to pursue this. We're certainly not counting outline stuff because I would have already hit it if we were. We're just counting first draft. So I added my first draft of Blood of Amberum and I added the first draft of what I have for Between the Waves right now, which means that we are sitting at 172,768 words written over the course of the past year, which means I have a little less than 18,000 words. Ooh, future Kayla popping in here for a sec. That math was not correct. It is not a little less than 18,000, it's a little less than 28,000 words, which is important, an important distinction. That's an extra 10,000 words. So I actually have a little less than 30,000 words to write over the next 19 days, I think it is, in order to hit that goal and also in order to finish my second first draft of a novel. So that's the plan for today. That was a very long introduction, but we are going to get into the workday. I have one more class in about an hour and then a meeting after that and a little bit of work to do, but then it is time. I am going to show you the plan, show you how I'm tracking it, explain what I have to do over the course of this vlog, and we are actually going to do some of that drafting. All right, let's get into it. I'm super excited. So I got my work done for the day. I've been writing a little bit. I have basically one more scene to transfer over from my original manuscript for Between the Waves, and then I think I'll have everything that I can use from that manuscript. I'm gonna make sure I get that done, and then it's all writing for the rest of the night. In about 15 minutes, I think. Yeah, in about 15 minutes, I'm going to do some writing with Autumn, who I will leave linked down below. We're just gonna do some like sprints, try and get some work done. So I think that'll be really beneficial because I do need to write. I was looking at the amount that I need to write every single day, like new draft, in order to finish off with 200,000 words during my first year of writing, and I need to write about 1,200, I think a little over 1,200 per day to get there. So I think on Friday I'm going to be able to write a lot because I have that day off from teaching so that I can work on all of my other stuff, including writing. So I think I'll get a lot done on Friday. Maybe not as much done on the weekend because we're going to the island this weekend, but then next week I do have more time to do writing. So it's basically just like a little mini Nanowrimo for the next 3 weeks or so, which is totally fine. I can do that, and it's less than Nanowrimo, so we're gonna do it.
Hello, moon.
I'm trying to tilt you this way so that you can't see the mess that's on my bed. So then I wrote a little bit more after we got off our call, so I ended up writing a total of 2,333 words last night, which means that I now have 24,899 words left to hit 200,000 first draft words, and I have about 19 days to do it, which I think is totally doable. I'm pretty sure that's like 1,200 words per day still, so we're still on that same trajectory. But today I'm going to start writing a little bit earlier because I'm finishing work a little earlier, and then tomorrow, like I mentioned, I'm going to be writing a bunch. So I'm hoping to knock out a lot of words over the next 2 days, especially because I'm going to be gone this weekend. So I kind of need to if I want to stay on track. And writing's been coming a little easier, especially since every time I write a little bit more, I figure out a little bit more, which is great. So I feel like I've got the motivation, I've got the plan, and I am on track to hitting 200,000 words of first draft writing in my first year of writing, which I feel like I just like have to hit it now, you know, because I've mentioned it already and I've set the goal and I've like put it on paper. And also I would just be really proud of myself. It is Friday, which means it's writing day. I didn't really get much done last night, like pretty much nothing, but that's okay because I'm heading to a cafe and meeting up with one of my friends and we're going to do some writing, and that is pretty much my whole goal of today is to write, so I think we'll be okay.
Falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high.
Okay, so I'm back from the cafe now. We wrote 3,603 words today so far. I'm gonna take a little break. I just had some food and I need like a physical movement break. So I think I'm gonna clean my room because it really needs to be cleaned, and then we're gonna keep writing as much as we can today. I'm at like 66,700 or something. I have like a little over 3,000 words left to hit 70K in the draft, and I kind of just want to do it. So I'm not sure yet if I will today, but I might not have time to do it, but I'm gonna try. So first I'm gonna take a break, and then I'm gonna see how much more I can write.
If I never figure out where the road goes, even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs.
I'm currently rewriting a part that actually, luckily, not much has to change, and I'm also enjoying it so much. It's like, it's this scene that's around the midpoint, and it's basically a big party, and it's kind of the first time that any of the characters get to have any sort of actual free fun. And I just love, I don't know, I loved this scene from the start. It was one of the scenes that was in my head from the very start, and it's like they're basically in like this person's mansion, and it's after a parade for the spring equinox celebrations, and they're all dancing, and there's like a magic bar that will bring you the drinks that it knows you want, basically. And all of them are dancing with each other, and this is also like getting to the peak of some of the tension that I really like, some of the romantic tension that's in this book. So I love this scene. I still love it. I'm so excited because I know it's just gonna get better and better as we go. And I'm just like grinning the whole time and sitting here reading it like this, and then I remember that I'm supposed to be rewriting it and making sure I'm not missing anything, but I'm just like so excited about it. So I'm currently working on that, and then I'm actually going to double check my word counts for my 200K goal, because I'm pretty sure I think I missed some words, which would be great to find those if I did, because I counted what I worked on for Blood of Ambram last year, and then I also counted what I worked on up until basically a few days ago for Between the Waves, and then I started counting new scenes that I was drafting. But I realized there were already a bunch of new scenes that I was drafting that I added to my rewrite tracker, but not my 200K tracker. So I actually think I missed out on some words, which I'm totally okay with, because that means that I'm pretty sure I'm even closer to my goal than I thought. So we're gonna do some recalculations once I finish rewriting this scene, because I'm obsessed and I just love it. I'm having so much fun with it again, which is just the best, especially because you all know I've been going through some serious torment when it goes to restructuring this, just because of how much had to change as far as plot went. So I am ecstatic that I'm having a good time and the plot's kind of figuring itself out. This is like the magical thing about writing stories, is that somehow if you just keep trying, even if you don't have things planned out, and maybe this is why I like pantsing a lot of it, but if I don't have things planned out except for the structure and a couple ideas, it's like the story will tell itself. Like I'll be typing and I'll start to type a new scene that just comes out of nowhere that I didn't plan for. And all of a sudden there are all these little tidbits in that scene that tie together other things going on in the story, like that help advance other plot lines and give hints into other things that might be happening, or do some foreshadowing without me even realizing that it's happening. And I'm just wondering if there's like, when that kind of thing happens, it's so exciting, and I just wonder if there's like a magic cloud above me that's like raining little droplets of creativity down on me, because that's honestly what it feels like. That's what I've felt like definitely today. Everything is just kind of tying into place. I already know there's going to be another snag coming up soon, but it's not really a big one. So we're going to finish rewriting this scene, and then we are going to recount everything, and then I'm probably gonna get ready for bed because it's 8:30 and I actually need to get up early tomorrow because I'm going to the island, to Vancouver Island for the weekend. So I need to finish this. Something that I also wanted to mention is a new strategy that I've been trying for kind of keeping track of plot lines and subplots going on. So I have basically written a little sticky note that I'm keeping track of unanswered storylines on. Every time I come across something in the draft that I'm writing right now that doesn't have an answer. So for example, Amaya, the main character, her connection to a certain other important character, which I don't want to share too much about it yet, but her connection to that person is an unanswered storyline. We find out her connection to this character in the second book, but the third book is, this plot line is basically the third book. And I don't think that's enough for you to figure it out if you read the manuscript, so I'm sure it's fine. Also, the pirate captain's immortality. Not a lot of people in this world are immortal. Most of them are mortal, even though they're mages. Some of them are mages, not all of them, but most of them are mortal. One of the captains, however, is not, and it's kind of like a secret. Like no one really talks about why he's immortal or what he is exactly. There's also some people's kind of backstories and like connections to different parts of the world that we don't have answers to. And then I was actually just thinking about it because something in this scene, a comment that someone threw out, is also an unfinished storyline that I need to write down. And the reason that I've been writing this down and thought it might be a helpful thing to start to write down is because if I get stuck, these storylines that aren't complete yet, I have an idea of where they actually lead, but I don't have it set in stone, which means that I am also looking at these as potential fixes. So for example, if something happens in the manuscript and I don't know how to connect one part of the story to the next, or I don't know why this person is doing something, but I know they need to do that something, I can look at the storylines that I've written down and be like, oh yeah, this is like an unfinished thing that we don't know much about yet, and therefore I can kind of use it to build or fix something that I'm having issues with. So I'm writing them down just so that I can keep track of the subplots, but also so that I am aware of them, because later on in the story, when everything is kind of coming to a head, I want to make sure I have these tied in. And again, if I need to use them as a solution to a problem, like a structural problem that I'm running into, then I totally can. And I thought of doing this because I already needed to use one in a previous scene, because I couldn't figure out, I was like, why is this character doing what they're doing? And then I remembered that there's this subplot that hasn't been talked about much, but it still exists in the story, that would actually be the perfect reason for why they did what they did. So that's why I think it's important to track them, and I'm sure other people have ways of tracking them. This is just what I'm trying to do right now and what seems to be working. So we've got that. Okay, so just to give an update, I calculated about 4,000 words that I didn't add before, just from new scenes that I had written, but not actually included in the 200K goal, because I started tracking the 200K goal after I had already added those. So it's kind of confusing, but basically my word count for today looks super high. It is not as high as it is. I only wrote about 4,000 words, but it says 8,000. That's just because I had to add the other words that I didn't add before. But you'll notice that if you look at my tracker now, I've got pretty much for the rest of the month, if I write 928 words every single day, I will hit my 200,000 goal. And if I write 1,000 words for the rest of the month, that is about 18 days. So that's 18,000 words, and I am nearly at 70,000 words now. So that's 88,000 words, almost 90,000. So maybe this draft will end up being 100,000 like I thought. However, I'm almost at 70,000. I've just passed the midpoint. I don't know if that's gonna happen. And I think that if it does happen, there is obviously going to be some pacing issues, because it means that the first half is much longer than the second half. That's where we're at now. That's where I'm finishing off. The rewritten manuscript is currently sitting at 68,516 words in chapter 14. Some of the previous chapters are too long. There's going to be more than just 14 chapters leading up to this part. So that is super exciting. It's now 9 p.m. and I have not gotten any of my stuff ready for tomorrow, and I need to do that. So I'm gonna sign off. Thank you all for watching, and thank you so much to all of my patrons over on Patreon, listed here, for supporting me. It really helps me out when you support me on Patreon, especially because it gives me more support to create more videos as well as work on my writing. So thank you so much to all of you who do that. It really means so much. So I hope that you all enjoyed this vlog. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.